I know you want to speak a little bit about Alex Eala. Tell
Yeah.
me about what your thoughts are for the young lady. I personally feel like there are a lot of things she's improved on in the last year. I do feel like, and I'm kind of looking at this through a couple different lenses. Number one, she's got a lot to still work on. That second serve speed, Alvin, has got to tick up. I think I was one of the commentators may have mentioned it. I noticed it myself straight away. Average speed of 67 miles an hour. You know, that's a liability. Period. There's no way to sugarcoat that. Her actual first serve, however, has gotten a lot better. Her slice out wide might be one of the nastiest lefty slices on the women's tour. And there's been some good lefties we've had over the last 10, 20 years, and that serve out wide is money. The the other pieces of her game, I feel like her backhand is shored up, and her ability to control things through the meat of the court. Right, I'm talking 8 feet either way of center is just phenomenal. She knows her game. She knows her forehand. She truly dictates play with balls she can get to. Having said that, if she can't get to said ball, she's getting a little better at the counter strike, a little bit wider of the court, but she often, in my opinion, has to lean a little too much into a red line on the outside wings. And that also a liability because Alvin, that could be ball one, that could be ball two. I mean, she's not a great mover per se.
Yep.
However, she is maximizing her skill set. She is, man, fun to watch. And if I put her on the same track as, say, Coco Gauff, right?
Okay.
I felt it took Coco 3 years too long to address serve issues, to address forehand, to address, I thought Alex's backhand. A year ago, I thought Alex's backhand was a gaping hole. I thought her serve was awful and her backhand was very suspect. Her backhand is solid now. Her serve's gotten better. So I feel like I'm being harsh in a sense. I would say coaching realistic. I just always look at things from a standpoint of can it get better? Can it be
Uh-huh.
shored up? Not necessarily harsh on the person. It's more, hey, this is your game. This is what we got to fix. And I feel like she's improved. And I use the example of Coco very, 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 loosely and yet similar at the same time. I'm putting her in very high category and very high company. She is getting a lot better very quickly. And I have to say, hence her meteoric rise over this last year. But I feel like more could be done, but she's come a long way. How much more is going to be the question? How much more can she dip in that tank? But she's made significant strides in shoring up her backhand return. We knew she had a big forehand. We knew she liked her forehand. She's lefty. I mean, there's a lot of things. She shored those things up beautifully and really, really impressive in the short time she's done it. And with all the top quality, top 10 wins she's had, she's tested. Now, can she continue to improve some of the other things and really keep making some strides? That's what I saw. What about yourself?
Okay. So I think there's probably two conversations to be had here, right? And I'm going to this is per the usual. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here
Yeah,
and talk about like what Alex Yala actually means to tennis. And I'm going to go even a
that's
little
a
bit
good point.
further out. Um,
Right,
with Carlos Alcaraz coming back,
right.
we have all started to get a little excited that Carlos is coming back, right?
Sure.
Because it feels like we've missed him. It's like, well,
Sure.
why do we miss him? Because we are all kind of connected in this thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the tennis tour is not only the players and the coaches and the tournament organizers, but it's also the fans. And
Sure.
our expectations of the players are kind of based upon the players that are there and what they, how they compete with each other. So
Sure.
what I say that to say, Alex Ayala over the past 18 months, right, has had a major impact on the tour,
Sure.
on tennis. You cannot deny her impact through the way of shining light on a tennis community that has previously not gotten any attention from the Philippines, right?
100%.
She is, it's not like she's a flute player from anywhere, right? She was a very high level junior, has been
Sure.
at the Nadal Academy forever. Like anyone who's been following kind of high level junior tennis over the last 3 years knew of her coming.
Sure.
And then she arrived last year. I think it was Miami. Was it Miami
Right.
she hit the
Yeah,
scene,
I
or
think
Indian
so.
Wells, somewhere like that?
Miami was
Um,
definitely the first one.
yeah. And then so like but to your point about, the impact she has on tennis and off court is very palpable, right?
Right.
Which makes it kind of hard. It was difficult for me to get a good feel for her game without being kind of distracted by all of that.
Right. Separating the height from the substance.
Yes.
Sure.
At DC, she gets the best court assignments because she is very popular.
Sure.
But when you allow yourself to look past that, and the fans that follow her, and she's quite infectious, her personality is, what you start to see, and this is from watching her practice for 30 minutes and then watching, probably 1.5 sets of her play over the course of the week in person, 2 matches at home, to the part about like her game and then what she needs to fix from a coaching standpoint. I really think there's a missing part there. It's her game and what she will be able, like how she will win matches. And then based upon that, you start talking about what she needs to work on. She is going to be what she's going to be, right? She is. Yeah. She's not
all of them will be.
Exactly. Every player has their kind of their more or less their play style destiny in front of them, right? Sure. She is not. She's not small. She is a lot taller than you think she is. Like
I can see that.
The way she plays and fights and moves, you would think she's smaller, kind of like Layla, but she is not. She's closer to like 5'9". Like I walked past her and I was like, "Oh,
that's what I would have thought." But
she's bigger.
She has that Arantxa Sanchez Vicario kind of vibe, and she's probably a lot closer to Coco in height.
Yeah. She's definitely taller than you think. And when I'm watching her play, I'm like, there's a lot of stuff there that I'm not overly impressed with. Like you watch her hit volleys, it's very rudimentary. It's nothing you're gonna write home about. The second serve, I think, comes up a lot. Yeah. And yes, the serve speed is slow, but she makes it very difficult to attack when she's being intentional. I saw at one point when she was playing playing Naomi, that she had won 90% of points off her second serve.
Yeah.
With a second serve, right around 60-something miles an hour.
60-something miles, which I would say Naomi Osaka needs to be whooped for letting that slide. And to your point, maybe there's something more there.
Well, specifically,
we may agree or disagree. I saw parts of that match, and I was like, "What the heck are you doing?" And how many more balls are you gonna hit to her forehand off a second serve return? Another talk show, but tell me what you saw.
No, it's this talk show. Like you said, not going to let that slide. Specifically, Naomi was letting her hit that slider low and away, and Alex does a really good job of somewhat protecting that second serve by not letting you hit through it. Like she's not hitting a kicker all the time, right? It's usually a low slide fade, and that thing you have to, especially to a righty, to their backhand, you've got to pick that up, right?
Sure,
and if you're going to pick that up, you're going to go over the low part of the net. Generally, that's going to go right back into her forehand, and now somehow she's dictating play off of a 66 mile an hour second serve, right? So it's I saw what I saw on the back end of the Pegula match. The back end of the Osaka match was very similar to the last, set and a half of the Pegula match. She puts these players in a bit of a mental shackle, right? Because there's no one that really plays like her on tour, and she forces you to come up with some very difficult shots in very difficult positions, which also protects her. Yeah. One. And then
I would say you're overstating it. I would say it's awkward more than difficult, but I know what you're saying, and I agree with you in theory.
Yeah, okay.
Keep going.
Difficult because it's awkward. Difficult because it's awkward.
There you go. Not because it's impossible or hard, just awkward and uncharacteristic. You don't see it often awkward. Not you can't handle it awkward, and that's part of the je ne sais quoi that is. Alex Eala, you know what I mean?
Right.
Keep going. I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, but that's the big thing though. Like it's if you are a player that does not play like a lot of other players, but you are always playing like yourself, one, and two, everyone else is kind of playing the same. You get a lot of reps on 100%. Trying to hurt in the same way, where your opponent does not get a lot of reps of being hurt in that way.
100%. You are the disruptor in that sense. And I said the same thing about Melanie Dam when she made a nice run. She was the only person that had a slice backhander that used it quite often, playing against all the bigger, taller, hard-hitting Russians. She was not going to allow herself to be to get into a pace war with those girls, and they just kept overhitting and they weren't going to come forward. She had good passes when they did. So to your point, it was the game style she had that happened to match up well. Now, and I love Melanie. We talk about this often. And congrats to Melanie Dan, by the way, for her recent job at the USTA. Hopefully we'll get on the pod soon. But like Melanie, I wonder, will she have, well, she has great, well, she had a great run there in quarters of U.S. Open, and I think round of 16 in Wembley one year. I'm wondering the same thing long term, Alex being maybe a better version and hopefully a little more staying power down the road. Mel had some health issues. Is it going to have staying power once people figure out the awkward? And I think that's where I'm at with it. She does two things really well. She does several things really well. She does two things really well. She hurts you with the backhand that you do go there from time to time, making you feel like, well, that's not a hole. I need to go back to the forehand. She punishes you with said forehand and literally will yank you off the court in either direction. As far as off of the +1 of the serve, she literally, in my opinion, starts off with a weakness, but has the ground, the +1 so short up that it almost looks like a play and a tactic. The second thing she does well, she hammers returns. She takes advantage of every second serve you hit, right? And therefore, for the first 3 or 4 shots at every point, dare I say, Iga-esque, she is lethal off the return +1, maybe even return +2. Now, get deeper into the rally. Hit a little bigger ball. Hit a ball right to her. Hit a ball that backs her up. And she's very mortal in that sense. Now, that's the case with all tennis players, isn't it? We all do 1 or 2 things decently well. This is by no means a critique, and certainly not meant to be, not to come off as harsh. I'm just being, the coach in me wants to look at her now inching inside the top 10 in the world, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, is she going top 10? I think she's kind of getting closer now.
She's at 20. She's 20 as of today.
Sorry, top 20. I was thinking she's inching into top 20 status. Now she's going to be, tested. She's going to be seeded. She's going to come up against all those players who she were a year ago, they would have been upsets. And now she's that player. So I'm putting her in the same category now with the Mbokos, with the, what's my girl, Eva Jovic, with the, players that are starting to make that kind of headway now with Noskova and others that are starting to really, the younger players that are really starting to kind of come up and take notice. And I'm just wondering, will her game have that level of push, will it have that level of upside to get her there? And I think you mentioned about her serve and it's kind of slow and kind of low and it kind of tells away. I get all that. It reminds me more of a ploy than a tactic and a strategy. And that's kind of where I'm getting at. Is it something that's going to have the staying power down the road once people kind of figure it out? I swear, half the time I was wondering, did Naomi forget that she's left-handed? I mean, I kept watching some of her matches. I'm like, by the way, she's left-handed. There were matches. I even saw some of the Chung Queen-Lin match, and who looked very out of form. But there were 2 points a game when she clocked one, and just put my girl Alex on her heels, and she had no answer. And a little ugly on the tennis side as far as quality of ball striking. You could tell that Queen Lynn has not as sharp as she's been in past years. But when she caught it, I actually felt like she had some of the better tactics against Alex, and really showed, if I just go through you like I would anybody else, and not try to match up on a certain side, let me bring the fight to you. And it really showed me that she had few more holes where I thought Naomi's match was a little more disappointing in the sense that she almost hit into Alex's game, which is, again, feather in Alex's cap, to have a game hit into, right? But as she knows her game, and same with Jessica, that match was two different matches. The first day and first set match, when she's coming forward, moving off the court, knocking off volleys, I'm like, this is 6-3 all day. You know what I mean? Start to strike, miss a few more first serves, stay on the baseline. She literally was like, it was a tale of 2 matches, in that sense. And I was I'm not going to say disappointed. It was tough to see such a disparity in the 2 days.
Okay. So that's a really, really good point, because you, on this podcast, you have previously stated that if someone is playing a grand slam, right, 2 weeks worth of tennis, you are going to have days where you play your best tennis, you're going to have days where you play not your best tennis, and 100%. You're going to have a lot of days where you kind of play in the middle,
in
right?
between.
And I think that's the thing. Like, if you start to look at the losses that that Alex takes,
Yep.
she gets thumped pretty good. Like if you can, if you're there for it on that day and you have the tools, you can go through her.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
But if it's a 95-degree day in July in Washington D.C. and it's hotter than hell outside, and you're a little weary and it's been a long week and you're just not there. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that could really frustrate you, and you don't have the, maybe the mental reserve left to kind of like get through that. You just go, the hell with it. I'm going to Canada. We're out of here.
Yeah.
And she'll
on to the next one.
On to the next one. She'll get a lot of those wins, right? But when you start seeing the losses that she takes, she'll lose to Noskova, right? She'll lose to Muhova. I mean, these are losses that she has racked up this year. Like, good players will just go through her. Rebecca has beaten her like 2-0 or 2-1, something like that. But then also, she has beaten a lot of those players. She has beaten Iga. She has beaten Rebecca. She has beaten Coco. She has beaten Jay Powell. Like, it's like, I think the Pegula match was a perfect example of, on one day, half of the match, Jessica had it like she had the game plan on lock, execution on lock.
Man.
Weird delays, yada, yada, yada. Come back the next day, a little, okay. And now, like, the one thing Alex does is she kind of stays the same all the time.
Correct. Her game travels well. Her tactics are locked in. Again, she maximizes what she does well, and she plays to her strengths, period, which is what you always want to do.